You're listening to Alex Roberts of HalseyNews.com, featuring Dustin Gold. This stream is brought to you by DeplorableTV.com.
I have a very special guest indeed. As some of you know, I've been covering the Annabelle Lima-Taub story. Well, yesterday afternoon, an eyewitness who was actually there and tell us the truth reached out to us. Allow me to introduce you to our guest, Mitchell B. from Florida.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Mitchell, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. So, Alex, you've been writing a lot about Annabelle Lima-Taub. She's a commissioner down in Hallandale Beach, Florida. She obviously caught some national attention about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, because she made a comment on her Facebook page in regards to the new Muslim congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib, and you started writing some articles. You reached out to Annabelle. And I don't know, what have you written? 10 articles probably in the last week and a half?
Probably about that. I've been trying to actually provide fair coverage compared to the coverage that your liberal-controlled media's been giving her.
Yeah, so let me ask you, Alex. This started with a Facebook post that she put up, basically implying that Rashida Tlaib, could be dangerous. We should look out for her. Made some comment about her, subverting and then blowing up the Capitol. As we know, and you've covered separate from Annabelle, that Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, the other new Muslim congresswoman, immediately came in. They're trying to change old rules that we've had that govern how the House floor operates, a number of other issues. So just give us a quick background into the Annabelle Tlaib, and then we'll get into how you connected with Mitchell B.
Okay, so earlier this month, Annabelle Tlaib acted as an American citizen and not a city official when she posted on her personal Facebook account that Rashida Tlaib should be removed from her position of power because she could be a potential danger to the nation's capital. We all know that Muslims have this thing where they practice taqiyya, which gives them the right to lie to us, so we don't know if they're a danger or not. What we know is what they tell us, and the liberal mainstream media sits there and eats it right up. So what happened was, after recent coverage of Annabelle's situation, Mitchell reached out to Halsey first, who connected him to me. Mitchell and I talked. He explained that the way the mainstream media had been covering the situation was a lie, which is no real surprise. When do they tell the truth these days? And I thought that Mitchell would be a good guest for the show because despite the coverage I've been trying to give Annabelle, he's in a better position than I am since he's there on the ground.
So let me ask you, and this started the other day. I know you were talking to Annabelle. She was going to come on as a guest. And then there was a piece that came out in the Miami New Times.
Right.
That featured HalseyNews.com and Alex. We went over this the other day on the show. There was a lot of smears in here, but as Halsey always talks about, he's not going to go sue other press over smears. It's just a waste of time. He goes, in the article itself, which I have up on the screen, they go into the background of Halsey News, one of the original founders, Steph McWilliams, and that story actually that they wrote about is a complete lie. Washington Post actually slandered her back in the day based on an article she wrote when she wasn't even working with Halsey News. And then the other one who Alex is friends with, who's mentioned in here, was somebody that Halsey actually had a falling out with at a certain point when he found out that she was on some more white supremacist type podcasts. And they pull her into this. But Alex, they go after you in the article for writing pieces about Andrew Gillum and some of the other people that ran during the midterm elections, basically saying, like, get over your blackness, just run on the issues. Nobody cares that you're black. Like, you guys are turning this into giant race campaigns. So, Mitchell, you saw this article. That's why you reached out to Halsey.
On Thursday morning, I started looking through on the internet to see how the press is covering where I was in Hallandale. And I came across this article and I said, I didn't know there was any really strong right-wing programs out there. So I'm very astute and I always like to track down things. So I went on Hazley News and I said, submit an article. So I submitted an article. I have over 2,000 friends on Facebook. 99.9% of them are Republicans. And when I preach, it's preaching to the choir. So I write a lot of articles on the internet about this topic. And just a quick side note, I was supporting Annabelle a week ago on Facebook, and I was kicked off for 24 hours. I was in Facebook jail because I posted basically that the Muslims should follow American law, not Sharia law. And if you don't, you will be taken out of here. And Facebook threw that article out and also banned me for 24 hours. I fought Facebook. Facebook then put the article back on, but still banned me for 24 hours.
I fought the Zuck, and the Zuck won. Welcome to the digital. Welcome to the digital concentration camp. I've been there many times myself, and it's just a side note here. It is pretty amazing that you mentioned that, because I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter whether you're someone big like an Alex Jones, love him or hate him. The guy was completely deplatformed across a number of social networks, payment gateways. From Google searches itself, all the way down to, myself. I at one time had a large Twitter following. I've lost 5 accounts. And then yourself is just posting stuff as a citizen, as a concerned citizen. And the next thing you know, you're suspended from Facebook for a short amount of time. And this has happened to plenty of people. And it's quite obvious, almost admitted to, that Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, these guys, if they don't like what you're saying and it doesn't fit in with their narrative, they don't care. Right. You're done. I mean, we look at just what happened to the Covington High School kids in that situation.
Exactly.
There's a half dozen actual blue checkmark verified accounts that were offering bounties to people to go kill these kids. Their accounts are still up. I just had my latest Twitter account suspended for calling them out. So, welcome to America. Well, so, Mitchell, so you went down to, what was it, on Wednesday? You went down to a town council meeting, and at this meeting, one of the things on the agenda was Annabelle Lima-Taub, and they were going to be voting on whether or not to censure her, kick her out, or force her to make a public apology.
Right.
So why don't you explain a little bit to us how that went down?
Well, it was very interesting because I was a little afraid because this was the first time I've ever went to an event. I'm not calling it a demonstration because a demonstration, you need to demonstrate against people. So when I went down there, there was about 150 people that were pro-Trump, pro-Israel, non-Jews, American citizens, the Rolling Thunder, and then we didn't see any Muslims. So we're saying, how are we going to protest against people we don't see? So that was 2 o'clock, 2:30, no Muslims. 3 o'clock, no Muslims.
And I just want to point this out since it's a Halsey News program. As Mitchell just said, there were Jews there amongst the group of the pro-Trump, pro-Annabelle Lima-Taub supporters. So I just want to point that out, folks. There are Jews who are not there to subvert and destroy America. So,
and I want to tell you something also very interesting. You don't find too many. I'm a Jewish Republican NRA supporter. You don't find too many people, so I'm calling the acronym JR, Jewish Republican.
I like we got to use that, the JRs.
I was thinking about coming up with a bumper sticker saying, "Hi, I am JR," and then have it underneath Jewish Republican.
That's good. So you said there's about 150 people there, a mix of pro-Trump supporters of Annabelle, some Jews, some Rolling Thunder bikers for Trump. And what ends up happening? They told you to get there at 2. The meeting wasn't starting until 4, right?
We were all standing around. I took pictures. I went there as an observer. We all started taking pictures. And then around 4 o'clock, the Muslims roll in. And when I mean roll in, we were told there was supposed to be 3 buses of people from the ADL, Voice for Jews and Peace, which they're not for peace. They don't want Israel. And we were told 3 buses full through a First New Times article. I'm sure Alex saw it. It was a young kid who wrote it, and I wrote it against him, and he said that it was supposed to be, the ADL was supposed to be there. They were going to be defending the Muslims. The also Care was supposed to be there for the Muslims. Engage, two people from Engage were there. So when you have a demonstration and the Channel 10 said, there's a big demonstration here, or they're fighting back and forth. There was a group of 150 people on one side and 10 Muslims with a microphone. That's not a demonstration.
And this was this outside of the building where the meeting was held at first?
Yes, Alec. Yes, Justin. It was outside where the meeting was being held, and the police presence, they were great. You felt completely safe with the city of Hallandale. They had dogs sniffing all over the place. They had police walking all over the place. There were so many police there. They were anticipating to be problems, and there really wasn't. Just basically, whenever the Muslims would speak, the pro-Trump and the pro would just make noise so we couldn't hear them.
Oh, you know? Okay. So there was 10 Muslims. The police had dogs. That could have scared some of the Muslims away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, who knows? My dad had a theory. Maybe someone was making believe they were Jew and ran back to the Muslims and said, they have over 150 people here. Maybe it's not a good idea for you guys to show up, you know?
And you said ADL was going to be there to support the Muslim side, correct?
Yes. And, you know, and I know that ADL was an organization that supported the Jews, the Anti-Defamation League. Now they have changed direction. And I wrote an article just recently called Phobias. It's called, I sent it to Alex and I sent it to Hazley. And that might be another topic. We can do it another time. But it's ridiculous. It was, you know, and then the funny thing about it is there were no cameras. All of a sudden the cameras come and everyone becomes alive. And I never saw that with my own self. You know, you always hear about, you know, when the cameras come on, everyone wants to jump in there. And that's exactly what happened.
Hold on. Excuse me for 1 second.
What you're telling us is that basically with only 10 Muslims there, the cops got a paid day off. And right up until the media showed up, it was pretty much a ghost town.
Yeah, exactly. We're standing there with our flags, talking, hanging out, and some people were giving interviews. I don't know. There was I think Channel 7 was there, Channel 10 was there. I'm surprised Al Jazeera Radio wasn't there. You know, they're very big. You know.
So what?
Just so people know, what networks do those channels represent?
Well, you know, Channel 10 was representing, as we know, the left, you know, because I watched the Channel 10 report, and they gave more time to the Muslim group than the American group.
No, I mean, are we talking about like ABC, NBC, CBS?
Oh, Channel 10, I'm sorry, is ABC.
And what is it a large Muslim community down in that area or no?
I am told that they have a mosque.
Okay.
It's in Hallandale, but personally, they have been very, very quiet. We've never heard anything about them. But when that Eruv wanted to go up with the city of Hallandale, they were promoting against it, and that's why Lazaro and London were not siding with the Jews to have that Eruv put up. And the new mayor, Joy Adams, when she was elected, that was her first order of business to put up the Eruv.
Now, is Lazaro, is she leading the main charge against Annabelle Lima-Taub?
Alex, you want to handle that?
Yeah, there's a reason to believe that Lazaro is the one that's actually leading the charge, because allegedly her and the former mayor were having an affair. I say allegedly because the fact that they denied it, and I respect that they denied it, but we all know that a denial does not equate the same to being the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So the theory is that Lazaro wants to remove Annabelle from her position of power so she can appoint the former mayor into Annabelle's position, putting him back in charge.
Okay, and then Annabelle just recently won commissioner, right? Is she new?
She's been in government there since 2016.
Okay, Annabelle's been there since 2016. And when did her initial Facebook post go out? Was that recent? That was right after Rashida Tlaib won?
Yes.
Right, I think that was on January 8th, somewhere between January 5th and January 8th in that area.
Okay. So now, as far as you know, so what happened at this meeting, Mitchell, was they ended up voting, and they decided to force all of the county commissioners to take sensitivity training.
Yes.
So they were not able to directly single out Annabelle.
No.
And do you think that was that because the first off, when you're there at a city council meeting in Hallandale, how many people are like on the dais? Like how many commissioners are there?
There's about 7 or 8 people on the dais. And I was outside. I was watching the video outside because I couldn't get inside.
Okay.
They also required some people who wanted to speak were given a chance to speak because it wasn't only this issue. It was, they meet monthly, so They have a lot of issues on the agenda. And there's not only maybe. I'm sorry.
Have you been to any past meetings, or was this the first one that you went to locally?
This was the first one I've been to.
Okay. So you don't know how many. Okay, so you don't know how many people show up at these. Like if it's normally like 7, and then now all of a sudden it was 150.
Well, the video that I've always seen of them, you can always watch them on TV and at the city of Hallandale, and it seems like they're a full audience. There's a lot of retired people, and they have nothing to do, so they come down to these things.
Just so it's known, some of these meetings can actually get wild.
Yes.
Back in September, former Mayor Keith London actually insulted a veteran firefighter and called him simple-minded.
Yeah.
When Annabelle Lima-Taub, who proved that she's a champion of the people, defended the firefighter, Keith London turned on her and gave her own Me Too movement right there in front of everybody when he accused her of making money by bleaching her anus.
I mean, you're talking about stuff that this is national news, and they're talking about someone's anus. I mean, you wonder where these people's minds are at.
It's crazy. Sometimes you wonder if they even have one. So when they voted on this, do you remember what the final vote was? What happened? They debated censure. They debated kicking her out. They debated forcing her to apologize. But did they just not have the support of the audience who was there, of the public that was there? So you think
she did not apologize because in everyone's eyes who was also preaching, First Amendment goes both ways.
Mm.
So, and the mayor even backed that up. She said she had freedom of speech. I mean, everyone said, well, she was in public position. Yeah, she's in a public position, but how many public position people on the left preach about everything under the sun and they hate Trump? And then look at that congresswoman who called our president a MF, a motherfucker, Right.
Well, but that's interesting though, because for someone who made a comment like what Annabelle did, to get a county council, that's a county council or a city council?
Yes. And there's a city council.
City council. So, to get them to actually acknowledge that there is free speech on this side of the aisle is pretty amazing. I mean, that should be like national news right there. Like local city council mayor said there's free speech for what she said. I think in the last 5 years in this country, I thought that was completely gone.
But isn't it funny, Dustin, that here's a woman who wrote an article on Facebook. Who told the Sun Sentinel about that? That's what I would love to know. Who told the Sun Sentinel about that? And then Sun Sentinel then blows up the story. And then it becomes national and international news. You Google the woman's name, you'll pull up articles from everywhere.
I can't prove it, and I won't reveal my informant's name, but some people have told me that they believe that Michelle Lazaro may have been the one to point the Sun Sentinel.
Really?
Annabelle's post.
Oh, okay. So so Lazaro would have been the one to draw attention to Annabelle's post, getting the Sun Sentinel to cover it. Then obviously what happened is, they take, as soon as they can get an article printed, that gets pushed out through CARE or other, and then that spreads out to all their media.
Exactly. Yeah.
Michelle Lazaro has motive, and not only does she have motive, but Annabelle Lima-Taub named her personally, saying that she held her responsible if she ended up being killed.
Yeah. Well, there were 2 or 3 people on the council who actually threw Annabelle under a bus. And, you're supposed to be, yes, you'll have difference of opinion, but this is free speech. Who are you defending? This is my problem, that how can a elected official, first of all, she signed up, she put a name on, she had a hand on the Quran, you heard, the Thomas Jefferson Quran. Right. Wasn't on the Bible, the congresswoman. And then she goes ahead and calls our president a motherfucker. And then we, as citizens, say she should be impeached. That's freedom of speech. I mean, I don't see where they made a whole issue, and they did.
100%. So at the end of this now, all of the commissioners have now agreed that they're going to go to sensitivity training.
Right.
As you mentioned earlier, in your professional life, you've had to go through various sensitivity training courses when companies trying to be politically correct instead of, just singling out the one person who's like the guy in the office who's always being an ass. They go, everybody's got to take sensitivity training. So now the taxpayers of Hallandale are going to have to pay for these commissioners to all go and take sensitivity training. And what are they going to end up saying? Look, Rashida Tlaib's trying to subvert the United States. You are not allowed to write posts telling people that. I mean, that's the nature of the sensitivity training.
Yeah, that's why this whole thing that, again, I was concerned about going down there at 2:00, but then I saw a group called the Rolling Thunder, and they're a very big group, motorcycle guys. And when they came in, it was amazing. Everyone was drawn to them, and because they had American flags, and they situated their motorcycles all around the parking lot. So if you took a good visual, you could see American flags, Israeli flags. They had a presence there, and they supported Annabelle. Do you know that people came as far down as Delray and Boca and Boynton Beach? They have like a WhatsApp list, and they all get together, and they heard about this, and they came down here and supported. I met Israelis who've been in this country for 20 years, and they came down all the way from Boynton Beach. Now, Boynton Beach to Hallandale is at least an hour away.
No, I just want to ask you, so you said those are Israelis? So those are Israeli-born immigrants that live here in the United States. Now, because I just want to ask you, because I'm always interested in these topics, because like I told you before the show, Halsey debates a lot of people in the extreme alt-right wings. Now, would these be, or would your community and these people, they would be under Orthodox Judaism?
Some of them are. No. Some of them are Reform or conservative.
Oh, okay, so you've actually seen Reform Jews and conservative Jews that are on the side of supporting Annabelle in this battle.
But you know what the strangest thing, Dustin, is, and I want to say this, is there were no rabbis down there of any sect. There were no pastors there of any sect that was supporting. And now, you remember, we spoke about this before with Sharia, they don't like Jews, they don't like Christians, they don't like gays, they don't like anyone who is non-Muslim. Where are all the other people? This is not just a Jewish issue. This is a people issue. And that was surprising. There were no pastors there. There were no rabbis there. Joe Kaufman was there. I didn't even know what he looked like. And he was wearing a yarmulke. I didn't know. He's a political person. And then this woman, Lori Loomer, I think, Alex.
Yeah, Laura Loomer.
She's supposed to be a right-winger. I saw her, but she wasn't really involved in the crowd. And these are people who said, oh, yeah, I'm pro this. I didn't see her holding a flag. I didn't even know who she was until I read the article afterward that you wrote, and also what that New Times person wrote. And Channel 10 said, Lori Loomer was there. I said, who is she? You know?
It might be Brittany Shamus.
Yeah.
That's the one that does some things I jerk off to every night.
No,
exactly. Oh, yeah.
No, but Laura is, but Laura usually, her whole shtick is that she normally tries to embed herself and then try to either get a kind of an undercover video, similar to what James O'Keefe does with Project Veritas. She actually used to work for him. So sometimes she'll try to embed herself in. A lot of people don't recognize her because she's more of a citizen journalist on the local level.
I see. Okay, so she likes it not be played towards her.
Yeah, right. Well, exactly, until she makes the video, and then.
But you know what's funny? Annabelle made a comment that said she wished she would have met her Now, you would think if this woman, Lori Loomer, whatever name is there to support Annabelle, you think they would have met. But they didn't meet that day, which is strange.
No, and I just want to bring this up to you so you'll know when you're talking to people.
Laura Loomer?
Laura Loomer was one of these. She had close to 250,000 Twitter subscribers.
Wow.
And actually, this was one of the things that kicked off Alex writing all these articles the last few months. Laura Loomer got thrown off Twitter because she wrote a tweet not exposing, not criticizing, just telling the truth about Sharia law. And boom, they wiped out her 250,000 account. Yep. So she's been trying to make sort of a comeback. She was always a citizen journalist, and she worked for Project Veritas and some various independent news media outlets, but she liked to produce her own content. And she was one of the first ones that Twitter got for when Twitter decided that they were going Sharia compliant. So
that was the night before Thanksgiving. But a lot of my viewers and readers know that Laura Loomer was a professional role model of mine. So when they took her down, I took it personally and decided to try and be the biggest thorn in these people's side as possible.
Good.
And I just want to bring up a comment from Dan Jocelyn, because we're going to run this again tonight during the busier time. It's obviously we never really do shows during the day, but he watches a lot of our stuff, and Dan was talking about you mentioning some of the Jews being down there in support of Annabelle and being Trump supporters. So Dan Jocelyn said, kind of screws up the whole argument that Jews run everything. We have open anti-Semites in Congress. We're not even allowed to talk about it, which is 100% true. And like you said, the Jewish community, just like any other community, and this is what Halsey tells people, they're not a hive mind. Even in the Jewish community, unlike the Catholic Church, the synagogues are independent. They're not run like a franchise. There's no pope at the top. So he always tries to talk about that and tell people it's not like there's a hive mind. There's Jews that will disagree on every issue, just like every group of people. That's why Halsey always tries to encourage people, whether we can be friends at this moment, to work together in fighting against the Marxist leftist ideology and stop fighting each other over religion and skin color right now, because that's not going to get us anywhere in the long battle. So anything else you want to add on that on the meeting? Any other interesting stuff that occurred? Or are you going to go check out the sensitivity training classes? Could be fun.
But yeah, right. No, it's just it's like I wanted to see how Channel 10, which is an ABC station, covered this event, and it was so one-sided. They said there was fighting between them. Yeah, it was a one group on here and 10 people on the other side. It was a black guy, and there were several white Caucasian people that were with the Muslims, which I was surprised. Older people. Mm. And I just found that odd. I mean, how can you have a demonstration when there's only 10 and there's 150? That's not a demonstration. That's just an event. Well,
that's the key, and the media is always there. And this isn't just even new since Trump's been president. Like I told you before the show, I got involved with grassroots politics back in 2006, and we would have events like that where, our side would be represented by 250 people, and then there was supposed to be this opposing side that was organized by this illegal Colombian guy who was basically the slave runner for the illegal Mexicans. There'd be 9 of them, and then you go and read the paper the next day, it's like, well, on the racist side, there was 6 people. You're like, wait a minute, what? And they take a picture of like a part of your group.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've told this story a few times. I was actually have an entertainment business, but we do got hired by a lot of political campaigns, and I did a project out in Detroit years ago during the 2012 presidential election, and the media was actually working in cooperation with it was a group that was a splinter off of Acorn, which fell apart under Obama's presidency when they were exposed by Project Veritas. And the media would sit there in coordination, and I'm like, oh, are these your photographers? They're like, no, it's the media, dude. We run them. And they're like shooting pictures to fit in the whole narrative. I'm like, this is crazy. So, I mean, this stuff has been going on for a long time, but at least now it's somewhat becoming exposed. I mean, that's one of the things I give Trump credit for, is that he was able to lift the veil on a lot of stuff, including the media. And at least now I think Americans have a chance to, when they see something written or printed, that they at least, you have the opportunity to stand back and go, hold on, I'm going to wait 24 hours and see what the full story is, because some alternative media, some citizen journalists will probably clean up this mess within a day or two. So now, when you were down there, now did you meet Annabelle?
No, I messaged her the day before. I told her I'm going to be supporting her, and she messaged me back. She said, I look forward to meeting you, and I never got a chance to meet her.
Okay. And then you weren't that active in local politics at all? I mean, before going out to this meeting?
Right, before going out to this meeting, but I've been very active on Facebook about
local issues.
I wrote hundreds and hundreds of articles, and I post them all over Facebook and all. I'm affiliated with all the Trump sites on Facebook.
Oh, okay. So you follow national politics, but I mean, as far as
Yes.
local issues, was this the first big thing that caught your attention?
Yeah, because it involved Muslims. How can I be anti-Muslim or don't believe in their philosophy and then not go to this? I would be a hypocrite. People told me when we had an election here, there was a primary, and I didn't vote. They said, Mitchell, how can you not vote? If you don't vote, then how can you say you're politically against this particular candidate? Mm-hmm. So there's so many hypocrites. I mean, I have friends that I belong to, this Chabad, and they would not go down there with me. They would not. They called, how's everything going? I said, why don't you come down? Oh, no, I can't come down.
Well, let me ask you this personal question. Yeah. So being in and around, now do you actually, in Hallandale, it's about a half hour north of Miami, is a large Jewish population down there?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So do you live in a Jewish community?
Well, I live in a building called the Summit.
Uh-huh.
It's in Hollywood, which is right near the border, which is about 2 minutes away.
And then so you interact with a lot of Jewish people in your life. What is the whole? I don't understand, because I would imagine many of them are educated and do their research.
Yes.
But what is
Yes.
up with this, the ones that, is it that they're blindly supporting Islam, or they run to the defense of Muslims? Is it just a natural thing out of empathy and they don't have a full understanding, or are some of them like a suicidal mentality and don't realize that it's submit or die in the end?
The ones I've spoken to in my Chabad, they're very intelligent people. A lot of them are Israelis. But, they speak from the form with Judaism. I'm sure Hazley has probably said to you, they form that you should love everyone. I don't know. I don't know about loving Germans, and the grandparents, I can't love everyone. I discern and pick the people I choose to like or people I choose not to like. I'm not what I was saying to my dad. I guess I'm a maverick. I am my own person, and I am trying to live my life as my own person, and don't put me into a category. Like what we were saying, you don't see too many Jewish Republican NRA supporters anywhere. There is a whole site called Jews for Trump, but there's not a lot of people. There's maybe 400 people on that group on Facebook.
So would you say that in those particular cases, now forget about ADL. I mean, ADL obviously can be corrupted with Soros money and other things. That's an organization. Right. But as an individual, do you think that's blind love? Like I understand that you can love all people, you could love mankind. You could hope that people will get along and end up living in peace and harmony. But to love somebody blindly that wants to, kill you, that can, wants you to submit to their God, in the end, they will, in jihad, they will either do it through the sword or they're going to do it by subverting. Is right. it, do you think in that case with those kind of people, they just, with those kind of Jews, they just haven't bothered to learn everything, or is it blind love or
I think it's what you're saying. It's a combination. Some of it is blind love. They feel there are different sects, of Orthodox, and the conservative and Reform. But it is there. Some of the people said to me, Mitchell, why are you getting so angry about all this? These are people. You should love them. and then I get into a discussion, and then I don't talk to them. You know, I can't, Dustin. You can't form me. You can form me to a point, but I will always ask questions. And you know, with Jews, we always ask questions.
Yes. All right, well, that's great. Alex, do you have anything else you want to add? And again, I'll cut this up so we can run it in our other programs tonight.
Okay.
All right, I just want to see if I can get a couple things verified. I know that I provided some positive coverage to Annabelle Lima-Taub, but you as a resident that's actually down there, can you confirm that she's pretty much a champion of the people and the improvements that she's made since she's been in office?
Well, Annabelle, if you look at her, she has a Facebook, she's a blogger. And she has always been a champion of the people. She's always been standing behind all the injustices that are going on. So yes, she's a champion of the people, and people respect her. And that's why you had at least 150 or more people down there.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Mitch. I've appreciated having your time here. It's been good getting to know you.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Mitchell, thank you very much. And what I wanted to do is Halsey's on vacation. He's in Chicago. He's going to be back. Well, tonight he doesn't stream anyway because of the Sabbath. But then he'll be back Sunday. I think what we should probably do, if you're interested, and again, we can just do audio, is set you up and see if you want to come on with Halsey, because I'm pretty sure you guys would have a really interesting conversation, which would be a lot of fun. So,
I told Halsey that that he'll love Mitchell when he gets to meet him.
Yeah. It sounds good, and we might even do a video then. But you know, for the meantime, let's just do audio, and then we'll see where this goes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Alex Roberts. This has been the Real Deal special report with Mitchell B. on the Hallandale beach situation involving Annabelle Lima-Taub going after Rashida Tlaib. Man, I can't even remember these names anymore. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
You're listening to Alex Roberts of PalseyNews.com featuring Dustin Gold. This stream is brought to you by DeplorableTV.com.